Hi BookTube, it's Gina. Happy August 1st. Can you believe it's August 1st already? I can't, but even though I can't believe it's already August 1st, I do love the day. I love August 1st because it is my sister's birthday. You know me, you know my two sisters are the light of my life, and August 1st is a fun birthday because my sister and I are now the same age for 6 weeks until my birthday, September 18th. So it's always fun. It's always a fun time of year. It's summer. The weather is gorgeous. And I saw a really fun tag on Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading's channel. This is the How Do We Rate Our Books tag. How do we rate our books tag? And I wanted to hop on here and talk to you about how I rate my books because it's a really fun topic. Kelly had some really fun answers, and it got me thinking about how I rate my books. This is a tag created by Emily at Novelle Novels, and yeah, it's just a super fun one. So let's just jump right into the tag. All about how we rate our books. Prompt number 1 is, how often do you DNF and what makes you DNF? And I don't hard DNF that often. And by that, I mean, like, give something up for sure that I know I'm absolutely never going to get back to. A lot of times I'll pick something up and be like, oh, I'm not really in the mood for this, and set it aside, and it lives on my shelves where it may live forever, but I'm going to maybe get back to it someday. It stays on my TBR. Really, a hard DNF is when I know I'm not going to get back to it ever. With a caveat, I mean, never say never, but usually it means never. Why I do this usually is because I have 2 examples of books that I really, really wanted to read last year, but that I DNF'd because they were set in the present tense. And I just, for whatever reason, it is like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. I have a really hard time settling into that tense. So the 2 books I am thinking of are 2 books that are so beloved here, Wolf Hall and Hamnet. And I really wanted to read them. I owned them both. I tried to read them both. I just couldn't do it. I put them in my Goodwill bag and I gave them away because I'm positive I'm not going to get back to them. Now, as positive as I can be, right? I mean, things change sometimes. So I don't really DNF very often. Usually it's just because I just can't deal with the writing style. It's not that it's badly written. It's just that I can't, I can't deal with the writing style. Prompt number 2 is, do you rate books 1 star? And yes, I do. For me, a 1-star book is I hated it. I hated it. You probably saw me with a 1-star book. Was it last year? It was The Summer Tree by Guy Gavriel Kay. I hated that book. I 1-starred it. I threw it in the garbage. I was so mad at that book. So yes, I do 1-star books. And for me, a 1-star means I hated it. I didn't find, I was going to say no redeeming qualities. The Summer Tree, as an example, I didn't like it the most of the book, but then I got to the ending and I hated the ending so much that it just ruined what possible small redeeming quality the rest of the book had. So yeah, I hate 1-starring books. I don't do it very often, but I do it. Prompt number 3 is, what is a 2-star book to you? And for me, a 2-star book is I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. I wouldn't probably recommend it. I had a lot of 2-star books. A couple of kind of misfires for me at the beginning of this year. The Summer of Katya, which was sadly my spouse's favorite book back in the 80s. And I read it. It was fine. I didn't hate it, but I was like, meh, I don't really like it. So a 2-star book I will read. I will probably finish it. But yeah, it's a meh. I don't really like it. But a 3-star book for me, and I think this is where things do get interesting and probably a little bit frustrating for authors, because 3-star books, I think, mean different things to different people. For me, this is the challenge with giving unnuanced star ratings, right? It doesn't really call into play a whole bunch of other things. But for me, a 3-star book is I liked it. I actually read a lot of books that I imagine are going to be 3 stars. One of the things that Kelly said that I thought was really interesting is she said she goes into every book hoping and thinking it's going to be a 5-star read. And I don't do that at all, because a lot of the books that I read, like Star Trek, which I love, I grabbed a few 3-star reads. Lillian Jackson Brown's The Cat Who Ate Danish Modern. This is a cozy mystery series about a cat who solves mysteries. And another good example, Miss Seton. This is Picture Miss Seton. These are, I know going into it that these are not going to be 5 stars. And I still love them. I love my Star Trek books, but I can't give them 5 stars because they're just not at that level. Even though I love them, I build them into my reading diet. I plan to read them forever. They're just not 5-star, even though I love them, which is a little bit odd too, because if I love them, maybe they should be 5 stars, but the quality is not there. So I'm definitely still considering the quality, the writing style, the plot, the setting. Setting is super important to me. And a lot of times, especially with some of my books that I consider 5-star, or I rate 5-star, but that are more cozy, like Miss Reed, who some of her books I've given 5 stars to. Generally, it's because the characters and the setting elevate it to another level, just make me love it at another level in a way that I don't love these. I like these and I love them in some senses, but they don't bump up to that next level. This is really rambly. I hope it's making sense. So 3-star books, I love 3-star books. I read a lot of 3-star books. I anticipate reading a lot of 3-star books, and I am totally cool with that. Prompt number 5 is, what does 4 stars mean to you? And for me, a 4-star book is, I really, really liked it, but it still didn't quite make it to that next level. So, I should have made a better list. I grabbed some books, but I didn't really make a list. I've got my list on Goodreads. If you want to see some of my 4-star books, I liked it better than a 3-star. I really liked it, but I didn't love it. And then, do you ever do half-star ratings? And I don't. My ratings are for me. I'm clearly not always rating books on the quality of the book. Sometimes it's just that for whatever reason, I love it, which makes me give it 5 stars. So half-star ratings, I don't feel the need to do, just because I'm really I'm giving it a star rating just so that when I look back in 5 years, I can remember what I thought about a book. So I don't feel the need to do half stars. Prompt number 7 is, do you rate books 5 stars often? What do 5-star books do to make them rate that high? So 5-star books are probably the most interesting rating to me because they really run the gamut. And I did pull some sample 5-star reads that I've read in the last year or two, because I think it's a really interesting conversation, because the books are very, very different. So here are a few books that I have rated 5-star this year or last year. The first one is Beloved by Toni Morrison. This book is a 5-star read for me because I loved it. It was difficult, it was important, and it was so spectacularly written, and it just pulled me in. So this, as a literary book, I feel like is just a 5-star across the board. So great. I think everybody should read this, and everybody should give it a 5-star. Not really, just kidding. But this is like what I'm thinking about, a book that just is across the board is a 5-star. It would be something like this, maybe literary fiction from a few years ago. I think literary fiction a few years ago was, when was this actually? I say a few years ago, but this is, I think, from the 80s. Oh no, 1998. So, 1987. Mine was 98. This book was written in 87. And I think literary fiction in the 80s and 90s was spectacular. I loved that era for literary fiction. Then, you know me, you know I love my cozy books, and these are both 5-star. September by Rosamund Pilcher and Thrush Green by Miss Reed. I just got this in the mail today. Isn't that a beautiful addition? I got it off of Abe Books, and sadly the shipping was more expensive from the UK than the book itself, but I really wanted this in my collection. It's in pretty good condition. It has a little bit of that old mildewy smell to it, so I'm hoping it's not damaged. The quality looks good, but I love this book. And these two books, I would say, whereas something like this, I think, is a 5-star read across the board, and many people would agree with that. Not everybody. These books are 5-star reads for me, more on a more personal level. I love the characters. I love the English and UK settings. I love the cozy writing style, but these are more niche. They're not going to be 5-star books for everybody, but they are absolutely 5-star books for me. Which is why I think the ratings can be so personal. I'm not a book reviewer. I'm not rating books on their merit and their quality. I'm rating them on their impact to me and how I feel about it. One more thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to 5 stars is something like this. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, which I just read and was completely baffled by. I didn't even give this one a rating because I couldn't. I couldn't rate it because I can see, given the language and the writing, it's beautiful. It's so beautifully written, but it is so difficult. It was so perplexing to me. I was lost most of the time. I'm going to reread this. This is a book I think is a 5-star book that I couldn't rate because I couldn't wrap my brain around it. I didn't want to give it a star rating at all because my response was mostly confusion, and that's not fair to give a book a rating when I don't know how I felt about it. I couldn't figure it out. So I'm going to revisit this one, but this isn't a good example of a book that I couldn't give a rating to. Prompt number 8 is, has your rating of books changed over the years? And I have not, before I've started using Goodreads, which is the next prompt, where do you record your ratings? I use Goodreads. I would love to keep a book journal. I just don't do it. I am not a journal-y kind of person. I've bought journals, I've started diaries, I've started planners, I've started writing books down. I do it for a month and then I just forget about it. And 2 years later, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. So Goodreads has worked well for me. I've only been doing it for a few years. So the way my ratings have changed is that I'm now rating books, whereas before I never really did. I just read them. I either liked them or I didn't like them, but I never actually gave things a ratings. But I do like using Goodreads or something similar to that. I like having to look back and see what I read in the past, and I like seeing my star ratings to refresh my memory as to if I really liked a book or not, because I forget. I have a terrible memory. So so that is the how do we rate our books today. That is how I rate my books. I would love to hear how you rate your books down in the comments below, or do a video if you have a channel. Also, one thing I always forget to say is if you have a channel, feel free to shout yourself out down below. Let us know you have a channel. Sometimes people are nervous about saying they have a channel because they're worried they're promoting themselves and are going to get in trouble. But if you have a channel, please feel free to let me know down in the comments. And if I haven't already, I will check it out. And I will talk to you later. Bye.